everyone, welcome to Fight Talk Podcast with your boy, the What's Next kid here, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with Sonya Lamonakis, everybody, a former champion in boxing, everybody. Introduce yourself to the fans.
Sure. Hey, everyone, I'm Sonya Lamonakis. I'm the former IBO World Champion and New York State Heavyweight Champion.
Well, how's it feel to be the Vice President of USA Boxing Metro?
Well, it's an honor. I came in 2005 to New York and had the opportunity to represent Metro at the Nationals. And in 2010, when I turned pro, I thought it'd be a great idea to give back to, the organization that helped me get to the Nationals and supported me. And I've been doing it since about 2010.
Well, tell me, what first brought you to boxing? What was your
Sure.
first passion?
So, it was Springfield, Massachusetts. It was around 2001, and I was at the ATM late one night, and I got jumped, and they cut my throat to rob me, and I didn't know how to defend myself. So I started boxing at the South End Community Center in Springfield, Mass, and 3 months later, I took my first fight against Devon Kennedy, who was the first woman to win gold at the Worlds, and she kicked my ass from corner to corner, and then a year later, I went back and kicked hers, and fell in love with the game ever since.
What were some of the biggest struggles you faced early on in your career?
So early on in the beginning for women's boxing, it isn't what it is now, thanks to the big pioneers. But I'm one of the ones that was in the back that was fighting for women to get treated the same as the men, at the Nationals, so they could house us, give us what they were giving them. And I think equality was a big thing. It wasn't even about the pay, because it wasn't even about the pros. It was more like the women weren't being treated the same at the national level. And then, boom, here comes the Olympics and Clarissa Shields.
Well, what do you think about women's boxing now? Because obviously it's on the map. We have Most Valued Promotions doing great things. Because Friday night there was just a huge fight between Alicia Bumgarner and Bo. What a fight that was!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good fight. Alicia, I haven't seen her knock anybody out in a long time. She is going a distance. I felt like she got a little tired and could have did a little more preparation for her cardio, but it was still a good fight. Shadeja Green, who was upset at that night from Lanny Daniels, I feel like, look, you can't take anybody lightly, and also Shadeja used to be a heavier fighter, and maybe she's just not in a weight class that's conducive for her anymore, and that's why she was suffering that injury.
What's the toughest type of opponent, in your opinion, that fighters should be aware of?
So my toughest fight in my career was Martha Salazar, and she was a Mexican. And I learned after that, you never go for the head of a Mexican, you always go for the body, because they can take 100,000 hits to the head.
Now, when you were fighting, what did a typical day of training look like for you?
So, unfortunately, I was working full-time as a school teacher, so I didn't have my mornings off to do my training and cardio in the morning, so I would head to the gym around 3 o'clock after school to Gleason's gym, and I would do my 3 hours of training there, and I loved it. It worked in my schedule, and I was able to, fortunately, compete at the same time.
Now, if you wanted to come back to the ring, could we see you?
It would take a lot of money to pull me out of retirement. I'm 50 years old, so I'm not sure I could do it anymore. Could I still do it? Sure, I probably could still throw down, but my weight class has changed a lot, and the heavyweights aren't over 200 anymore. They're 175 pounds, and that's going to be tough for me. I was that in high school.
Well, I mean, look how much they're paying some of the fighters now. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Alicia Bumgarner too. They're paying these kind of fighters millions.
Yeah, and I'm happy for them. They deserve it. They work hard. They put their life on the line. Boxing is not a game. It's a sport, and you're putting your life on the line every time you step into the ring.
Do you feel you've gotten the recognition you deserve as a fighter?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to fight on great cards. Lou DiBella gave me big shots on the undercard of Andre Berto, Victor Ortiz. I got to fight on, just really good shows that made a difference and got me that publicity and created a big fan base for me. So I'm always very thankful to my beginnings in boxing.
Now tell me, what brings you to the Ring 8 New York State Hall of Fame today?
So today I am introducing Alicia the Empress Napoleon, who is a former world champion, also my stablemate at Gleason's, and a great girl, a God-fearing woman who's a mom, a wife, and a great boxer, and I'm happy to introduce her.
Now tell me, you're the vice president of USA Boxing Metro. How do you deal with some? Because it's a lot of work. Because obviously you got to deal with the people who believe their fighter was robbed and just say, "Oh, this was a rob," then come up to you and probably bother you or whatever. How do you deal with those types?
So, the thing about boxing is the judging is subjective. So different people see it in their own eyes, and you have to really understand the rule book of boxing. It's not about, its points are allotted for clean blows, and people don't really understand the scoring. You could lose one round, lose 2 rounds, and still win the fight. You could get knocked down twice in 1 round and still win the round. So you have to really understand scoring. So when people come up to me and they're upset, I refer them to the rule book, I refer them to the chief of officials, and I try to have them understand. And another thing I do is I tell people always watch the fight on a rerun with no volume. So you don't hear the crowd, because sometimes you can be influenced by the crowd and who's got the louder fans cheering.
Now, tell me about USA Boxing Metro. How do they help kids get off the streets and become fighters?
Sure. Well, we're a 501c3 program in New York, upstate in Long Island. We have Bronx Legends Boxing Academy in the Bronx, which is a free boxing gym. We have Cops and Kids, 2 of them in Staten Island. We have 1 of them in Brooklyn. We also have Gleason's Give a Kid a Dream program. Work Train Fight has Youth for Change. A lot of different gyms are offering free boxing programs to kids, and what they have to give back is their time. We ask that they do well in school. If they need help, we give it to them, and I feel like we offer different things. It's not just about boxing. My mission for my kids here at USA Boxing Metro is not to be world champions. They're to be world champions in life. I want them to be successful with, what they do in life. So I feel like they learn different things from me, and I can help them with their resumes, how to interview, to apply for city jobs, all that kind of stuff.
Now, as the vice president of USA Boxing Metro, and a former fighter of yourself, what advice do you have for young kids out there?
So I don't think your goal should be boxing. Your goal should be, a career. And if you happen to run into a boxing career, wonderful, but you should always have something to fall back on. Never make boxing their priority. People say boxing is life, but life is life. You have to have boxing as a hobby and another bunch of careers or whatever you got going on in hobbies.
All right, everybody. Well, it was great to have Sonya on today, everybody. I've been chasing her around for a little bit to get this interview.
I'm proud of this kid. He's come a long way, so I wish you the best and success in your new journey.
All right, I thank all of you for watching the What's Next Kid Out.